my name is Heather Blank, and I head up the MediaMath audiences group at MediaMath. And today we thought we'd go through some, tactical strategies on how advertisers can use data to help drive increased ROI, and figuring that this is a pretty timely conversation with all the holiday planning and holiday campaigns that are coming up. So just to get started, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the challenges that we see out in the market in the industry, and I'm sure as you guys are working through your daily jobs, this is no news to you. And then, like I said, get into really 3 ways that we see marketers successfully addressing all of these challenges, and then also demo how you can do this in our T1 platform. And so I think it all starts with, digital marketers needing to understand who their best customers are, and sometimes this is actually pretty hard, mostly because all of the data that advertisers typically have available to them is only their first-party data. So they of course know what their best customers do within their own 4 walls of their store or on their own website, but they don't understand the full picture of who those users are. And so we're dedicated to helping our advertisers figure a lot of that out, and then that can help inform targeting strategies, messaging opportunities, and ultimately bring down ROI. Also, we hear from customers all day long, and I'm sure you guys are the same way. I need to get more customers, but it's expensive to do so. Typically, it's expensive because if you don't know exactly who you're looking for, clients are casting a really wide net. Data is somewhat expensive, or more expensive than your own first-party data, and so you cast this big net, response rates aren't that great, and so CPAs are high. So we'll talk a lot today about how to acquire customers in a much more targeted and granular and customized way, using data beyond just what you have on your website to really increase those response rates and make acquisition something that is feasible within your budget. Also, we have a lot of clients that say, I need to reach more of my current customers. I can target who's coming to my site, but I, need to reach them in a more personalized way, or I need to make sure I understand who within those site visitors are the best of my best customers. Also, I need to be able to target people even outside of my recent site visitors, maybe from my CRM file or whatnot. And so we'll talk a little bit about those strategies today. And lastly, I'm sure this is probably what a lot of you deal with, is you're getting a lot of pressure to drive more top-line sales, but unfortunately budgets aren't growing at that same rate. And so it's putting immense amount of pressure on the advertisers to get much more cost-effective with their with their advertising. And so where we're seeing a lot of good benefits is by really doing this through a data-centric approach. Stop just casting those wide nets. Start informing your strategies and your targeting criteria based off of who your best customers are, what are they doing on your site and across the internet, and then finding more people that look like that for really getting much more improved response rates. So this all starts on the foundation of your own shopping or browsing or website data. Okay, you guys have this today, you're leveraging this today, I'm sure. But where it gets more sophisticated and much more higher performing is enriching that data with where users are going across the internet. What else are they browsing? What else are they buying? What are their interests? And then supplementing that with also additional information such as interest categories, lifestyle insights, do they have kids, don't they have kids, that sort of thing. And then lastly, augmenting that data with some demographic and psychographic attributes. This starts to paint a really clear picture of shoppers, and then gives marketers really the tools to make it actionable, to spend their dollars on the best people, and then obviously getting increased response rates. So at MediaMath, as you guys know, we're one of the larger media buying platforms globally, and so that gives us the ability to, get an immense amount of data, both from the tags that are out there across the internet that that our clients are applying and using, as well as all of the data that we see across the internet overall, from the bid opportunities that we get exposed to, and our media buying platform in general. And so a lot of scale here. We've got over I think 25 million users both in Mexico and Brazil each, as well as 1 billion users globally in our database. And so a lot of scale for you guys to start to enrich and supplement your first-party data, and then apply a lot of these tactics that I'm going to get into. So we're really about solving three main problems with our MediaMath Audiences product. One is acquiring new customers. And so letting you guys go beyond just even the people that are visiting your site and find those people out across the internet who have the same types of behaviors, interested buying patterns, and who are in market today to convert and respond to your advertising. That obviously decreases CPA and increases your return on ad spend. And so it's not just about acquiring customers, but it's doing that more cost effectively. Target those users with only the highest propensity to convert, and I'll talk a lot about how we're applying predictive analytics to do that. Lastly, it's also about driving revenue, not just from new customers, but getting smarter with your reactivation and your retention campaigns. And this comes in a bunch of different parts, but today we'll really focus on how to optimize your remarketing campaigns by understanding what those site visitors are doing everywhere else, and then figuring out how to an investment strategy against them. So with that, let's get into each of these different tactics and dig a little bit deeper. The first one is acquiring new customers. And so for this one, it's really about using lookalike audiences. And lookalike audiences for us is a really good blend of what MediaMath is really good at, which is predictive analytics. That's how we built our platform. That's what our media buying is on. That's why you guys are working with us today. And marrying that with this large data asset that we have that's part of the exhaust of all the media buying activities that we do. And so it enables you to understand who your high value customers are, and then by applying our data science, really hone in across thousands of different attributes to figure out who of those users that haven't already visited your site act like your best customers. This is enabled within the T1 platform, so I'll talk about that and show you that in a minute. And then it really just enables you guys to figure out, okay, based off of who might be browsing a similar site today or buying something that's maybe predictive to buying your particular products, that's how we can really drive higher response rates. And then it enables you to get your messaging beyond just the people that are coming to your site and really prospect at scale. We do a lot of this all day long, and so we've done a lot of testing and a lot of work with different clients, and we've done a lot of studies on aggregate of how these lookalike audiences perform against traditional prospecting strategies, which is what sort of I call a pray and spray strategy, or targeting more on what the inventory looks like. For instance, contextual targeting, so hey, I want my ad to show up next to an article on a particular topic, or whitelist or PMP targeting. This is about not targeting the site or the content on that site, but really finding the individuals who are most likely to respond and then putting an ad in front of them regardless of where they are. That type of targeting and using the lookalikes drives about a 52% lower CPA than those types of contextual or whitelist strategies. So we really want clients to get in there and try this. We feel there's a lot of opportunity to help bring down response rates and be able to prospect more cost effectively. So really quick, just digging into what the lookalikes look like behind the scenes and what we're doing. One is we start with a seed, and I'll show you how to apply a seed here in the application in a minute. But the first one is, okay, this is the seed. You're helping us identify from your site users that have done something that you want to find more of. Most commonly, that might be recently purchased on your site, but it could also be things like signed up for an email newsletter, downloaded a white paper, booked a trip, or filled out a form. And so wherever you have an action that's being completed on your website, you can identify that for us, and then the users who do that, we use that as a seed. Next, we then use our our predictive analytics to identify behavioral patterns of those users. And so scanning through the millions of attributes that we have on the millions of different profiles that we have to understand the behaviors of these people in the seed set. And then what we do is score all the other users that we have against that behavior model. And so the folks that come up as highest scoring are the folks who have the highest propensity to respond. And so we load those highest scoring users into your account so that you can start to then target them with your strategy. And so you can test out this particular strategy. We can also score different types of audiences for you, and you can vary your bid opportunities or your bid strategies against this too. So there's a lot of flexibility here, but basically it's about finding people that are doing something great, and then our machine learning and our analytics will help identify of all the other people out there who are the people that are most like the people that you've already gotten. So it makes prospecting much more cost effective. So with that, I will get in real quick to the application. And I'm not sure we mentioned this in the beginning, but I promise I will leave questions at the end, time at the end for questions. So take note of those, and we'll get to those in a few minutes. So in the application, I'm sure most of you are familiar with our T1 interface. If you go down to the left-hand side here and click on App Store, you will see an area called Lookalike Audiences. Click on the Lookalike Audiences application, and this is where you go in to request a lookalike. And so you can select your organization, and then you select the agency within your organization. If you don't have particular agencies or you're a single advertiser, there'll just be one particular brand name listed here. So you select the org and the advertiser, and then on the right, here's where you're going to, you select the org and the agency, and then on the right, here's where you have all your advertisers. You select the advertiser that you want to build an audience for by clicking on the arrow here on the left-hand side. That opens up all of the pixels that are currently running on this advertiser's website. So this is where you select the activity or the page or your seed file of where you want to find people that are doing something great to find more of them. So in this instance, let's build a lookalike model for new customer acquisition, and we want to find more people that are likely to purchase. So the pixel here is on our confirmation purchase page. So this pixel fires when somebody's made a purchase. And so we select this pixel by clicking on the arrow, and then here is where we fill out our model information to request a model. So in this instance, we want to do new customer acquisition. So you can name it whatever you want. And then for target audience, you select what type or what universe of people you want to build a model from. And so in this instance, because it's new customer acquisition, we want to select people that have never visited your site. We're looking for that scale outside of where you're able to reach today. So we type in we select never visited my site. You can give us information here about the performance and goals of the campaign. That helps us to, just better understand what you're doing. So you can put in here CPA goal of $10. Any other additional information you want to pass along. And that's really all that's required. There's a couple of other optional items here that you can do. Here is additional seed pixels. So you can select here if, let's say, you have multiple pixels on various different sites that are things that people are doing. You might have a confirmation page, but there's also an email sign-up page, or maybe multiple forms that people are filling out. You can add additional seeds here, additional pixels to your seeds here by selecting however many you want. It also helps us to tell us exactly which pixels are placed on the cart and the confirmation page. Sometimes the names of advertisers' pixels are not intuitive, and so you can select those here by telling us specifically which ones are which, and that will just help fine-tune our model. Once you've filled everything out, you then hit Submit Request. You get a confirmation notification here, as well as getting an email in your inbox notifying you that, or just confirming that we've received the request. Your audience then, it takes about 2 days to build, and then will be populated into your account. Now, occasionally, so to build lookalike models, we need at least 10,000 people in that seed. And so sometimes, your website traffic hasn't built up, or maybe the pixel is new, various different things. And so there might not be 10,000 users in the seed. And you will know that if you select a pixel, you will get a warning down at the bottom that says the number of pixels do not meet the minimum requirements. Here you have two options. You can add additional pixels to continue to add up the number of users to get to the minimum of 10,000. If you can't do that because, again, your site traffic's lower or you haven't been running for long enough, you have a different option. And the option is to then use our pre-built audiences. And so what that is I'm sure you guys are familiar in T1 with our lookalike, with our third-party data. And so we have other segments in the third-party data section as well. And so these are segments of users that are pre-built based off of observed website activity. And so on this screenshot, you can see here, I'm sure you're all familiar with the targeting tab, and then under audience. And you can scroll down and you will find MediaMath audiences. There's two types of audiences here. One is in market, which are based off of actual browsing and buying activity, recent activity. So these are people that are actually in market in particular product categories. And then there's also a MediaMath interest. And these are people more content-based. What are they reading? Is organized by region. And so if you click on the arrows there, you will open up the different categories in each region. And a region definition is that the users are located in that region. We have over 60 segments available in each region, and they cover a variety of different topics such as retail, auto, travel, and CPG. And so I encourage you guys, if you can't build a lookalike just yet because your seed file isn't big enough, go into the targeting tab under audiences and browse the categories here. These aren't as customized as the lookalikes are, but they are based off of observed behavior, so it's people actually doing this information. It's not us guessing or group clustering people together. It's what we're observing people doing. And so it's a good alternative to lookalikes, and test it out, and we still see really good results here with using this for prospecting. Okay. So now I'm going to move on to the remarketing campaigns. And so like I spoke about earlier, you can acquire new customers. Hopefully I've showed you how to really use data in a customized way to build custom lookalikes. We'll find the highest performing users, which will drive down response rates. And like I said, we see CPAs come much more in line with remarketing CPAs and tend to be much more cost effective. So encourage you to try that with your advertisers for new customers. However, like I spoke about earlier, there's still an opportunity to reduce CPAs and increase ROI on remarketing campaigns. And basically we can do that through our audience scoring product. And so oftentimes advertisers have a lot of people coming to their site. Some of those users are not very likely to respond. They just aren't going to be ultimately interested in what's available on the advertiser site. And so you can use our scoring product to help to say, okay, here's the universe of site visitors that an advertiser has coming to their site. But let's look at all of the activity of those site visitors. What are they browsing? What are they buying? What are their interests? What are their demographics? And let's score them against their best customers. And out will come a subset of all site visitors that are most likely to respond. And so you can use this subset of users, and this is basically to help identify who you spend your first dollar on. Your bid strategy can be higher to these people. Your messaging strategy might be different. Your creative might be different in how you talk to them. And you certainly would prioritize spending money on this first segment over everybody else. And so what this does is it enables marketers to be able to ultimately drive the same level of sales just by targeting a smaller audience, and that therefore brings up their ROI. And so you're really sort of, instead of having this spray and pray mentality across all of your site visitors, you're using insights that we help you, that we provide to you to be able to say, this is a big group of people, let me find the best of the best, and that's who I'm going to spend my dollars on. Now to do this, you do this in the same way that I showed you with the lookalikes, access it the same way, go through it the same way, you select your seed the same way. However, in this instance, you might name it something slightly different. You can see here I've named it top scoring site visitors. But when you get to the target audience area, this is where you select site people that have visited my site as opposed to people who have never visited my site. So you can select from various different types of time bands. You can select to filter down people that visited very recently. Or you might say, you know what, my campaigns on very recent site abandoners is really working well. but I have all these other people that are longer term abandoners, and I want to find the right people, the cream of the crop in that audience. And so you might do something like visited the site in the last 30 to 60 days. Again, same techniques here as far as filling out the form. No different. You name it something different and just select a different audience type. Audience is delivered in the same way, and you can pick it up in the targeting tab as well. Okay, the next thing really that we found to be highly effective, both for optimizing campaigns, targeting strategies creative, as well as just giving you guys a lot of insights that you can help socialize within your organization or within your client's organization. Maybe it can help, these types of insights we've seen help with merchandising strategies, what products to put on the site or what products to put on the homepage of the site, as well as what do you talk about in an email, or maybe even what do you put in the creative on a display ad. And that's through our Insights products. These are actually a set of free audiences, or I'm sorry, free insights, free reports that are available through our Modular Dashboard. And I'll show you that dashboard in a minute. And it's really about helping clients understand who their customers are, what are they doing across the internet, how do they interact on their site as well as everywhere else, and then really providing actionable steps on what they can do about it. And so there's a couple of main questions that we design these reports to answer. The first one is, okay, it's great to know about an aggregate who's coming to your site, but we really show you guys what are the difference in users that are browsing your site, abandoning your cart, and buying. And that helps provide really actionable insights to say, okay, here's the difference of what is working versus what's not working. You can take that information, like I said, to your website users, your website developers or your merchandisers and say, listen, these people are coming to my site, but they're not. Here's what they're interested in, but they're not buying. Here's the difference in who's buying. You can also say, you know what, until those problems are fixed, I know that these types of people are actually going to buy, and so you might anti-target them or remove them from your current targeting strategies. It definitely helps in giving you a really good picture of who your typical or your best customers look like. And so again, our math will do that on the lookalike, but this provides you something with being able to socialize internally and saying, hey everybody, the people that buy from our site, here's what they're interested in, here's what they're browsing, here's what their behavior looks like. It also gives some good insights around, for your website developers, what types of devices people are using to access your site, where are they from regionally, and even gets down to what operating system are they using. That helps with just website optimization. And then lastly, it gets down to the product category or to a topic. And so it's not just demographic information. Actually, it doesn't have any demographic information in that, and that's why, and we've chosen it to be like that. This is really much more granular and what we feel is actionable. So I'll show you the modular dashboard in a minute, but for time's sake, I'm going to talk about one of them here and then demo a second one. This is all interactive, and you can get access to the modular dashboard by requesting it through your account manager. There's currently no way to log in just from the UI, but it's very easy to set you up and everybody can have access. So if you want to get these reports for your advertisers, just let your account management team know, and we're happy to give you a login. So one of the reports that I spoke about earlier around, hey, who are my customers and what do they look like, is our profile analysis. And it basically takes groupings and clustering of attributes of people that are buying, and you can select this for looking at people that buy, browse, abandon, whatever. In this instance, this is people that are purchasing, and groups them together to help you guys develop some personas. And so in this instance, 50% of the of the buyers are interested in small and office home products, consumer electronics, entertainment, computer, and software. But what's interesting is 25% of the users really develop this own persona, which we're calling head of household moms. They're buying across multiple categories. They're buying men's apparel, they're buying beauty, fragrance, and jewelry, as well as children's products. Understanding that 25% of your purchasers belong in this category not only helps inform your targeting strategies, but also might help inform what types of cross-sell opportunities do you do in your cart, or what other content opportunities do you have on your website. Also, you have things like, you have this other 24%, which we are calling DIY techies. These folks showed an interest in hobbies, home renovation, consumer electronics, another subgroup for the marketers and the website developers and the merchandisers to understand. And so you can then run this for also comparing what does it look like for people that came to my site and didn't buy, and really start to understand the gap. And so the recommendation here is, if you want to start to optimize and use this data for targeting, is one, you can request a lookalike and we'll do the work for you. We bring these attributes in and build a custom audience for you. Or if you don't have enough seeds or you want to do it more manually, you can also go into the targeted segments area that I showed you earlier, which is under the targeting tab and audiences. Go to MediaMath audiences, select your particular region, and target some of the categories that you see here. And so this is, I think, helpful. A lot of our clients like it. Agencies like it to go back and show their advertisers just some additional insights on who's coming to the site and what's the difference between buyers and browsers. So with that, I'll get in and show you guys the modular dashboard. Again, you can get access to it from reaching out to your account manager. This is the persona analysis. Again, you can plot purchasers or browsers, and you can sort of play around with it and see how things differ. You can also export all of the data here. Another report that I encourage you guys to get in and play around with if there's interest is the attribute time series analysis. This will tell you what the attributes or what personas of people are accessing your site on particular days. What we often see is that things change over the weekends, for instance, and so again, working with your counterparts on the website side, or even your creative, what you might be running in display, and adjusting it for maybe different people that are shopping on the weekends versus during the day. However, I want to spend a few minutes digging into the attribute breakdown report. This is my favorite. This is the one that I think is the most actionable. And so here is where you can plot what you want to look at. So in this case, we want to look at purchasers. I'm going to sort by purchasers, and then I'm going to color this by purchasers as well. And so what this is showing is what attribute, all the attributes of the users that have purchased on the website. And we bucketed it into 3 different categories. One is site browsing, transactional, and behavioral. And so the thing to look at, I'm kind of a visual person, so I just like to look out at what's graphically showing up, is one, the length of the bars. The length of the bar shows the number of users that have that attribute. And so in this instance, browsing parenting websites, a lot of people that came to the site and bought have this attribute. The color of the bar indicates how likely that attribute was in predicting purchase. And so for instance, transactional here, you have beauty and fragrance. A large percentage of the people coming to this website buy in beauty and fragrance. And this attribute, people that have this attribute are 375% more likely to buy. Now this makes sense because this is a beauty and fragrance website. So one, validates the data. 2, however, I think this is highly useful in what's not intuitive. You start to understand maybe there's different groups of people I should be targeting, or maybe to your, your other counterparts within the organization, there's additional things that become interesting on what types of possibly product categories you might bring in on your site, or other messaging strategies on your homepage. For instance, here you can see that people that actually 24% more likely to buy than people that don't. And so, however, the amount of people that have this attribute is much lower relative to some of the other ones. And so it's about shifting your targeting strategy to find more of these people to come to your site, because these people are definitely going to drive up your response rates more than targeting folks, for instance, that are interested in celebrity gossip. And so there's a lot of learnings here on what to do. There's also some learnings on what's not working. For instance, here under transactional, you can see here that probably about roughly 75% of the users purchase in jewelry. However, these users are actually about 56% less likely to purchase on this client's website. So here's an opportunity either to, if it makes sense, go to your merchandising teams and say, listen, we got a bunch of people coming to our site that buy jewelry, but they're not finding what they want on the website. What can we do about it? Or it's also an opportunity to say, you know what, jewelry buyers doesn't work for me, and so really looking at anti-targeting some of these people as well. Now, remember, when you request a lookalike, this is what our data science does. So we do this for you in a customized way. This is about doing it if you want just basic insights to socialize around, or if for some reason you can't build a lookalike, you can come in here and select different segments of what you might want to target through our targeted segments data. So that's basically the 3 different strategies that I had to talk about, and hopefully I've done a good job of at least somewhat showing you how to do it in T1. Again, really encourage you guys to start to use some data to help inform both like who do you acquire from a customer perspective to bring down that CPA, as well as, you know what, I'm doing remarketing, it's working so-so, how do I make it better? Selecting a subgroup within that remarketing campaign that's the most likely to respond, accelerating your spend to that segment, and then just providing more value, more data points, more insights, and fine-tuning your targeting through the insights that I showed you earlier. So I think we have a couple of questions. And so first one is, what's needed to get MediaMath audiences enabled? The good news there is absolutely nothing. So you can go into your login, go to the App Store, and you should see the Lookalikes Audience app here. If for some reason you do not see your advertiser listed or your agency listed, please reach out to your account manager. That should be in very rare instances, but if for some reason you don't see it there, reach out to your account manager, and we can figure that out for you. Another question is, what's needed for getting the analytics from MediaMath? And I assume the question is related to this modular dashboard. All we need to do is set you up a login. And so it's very easy. We just give you the URL and your login, and again, reach out to your account manager and we can set that up for you very quickly. And the insights is all at no cost, so please encourage you guys to get in there and poke around. Another question is, how do I find my lookalike audiences after they've been built? And so I apologize for not mentioning this earlier. We will put these audiences into your T1 account. They will be, you can find them in the targeting tab under My Data, and it will be loaded as a data pixel. And so you'll get an email notification that the audience is ready, and then you can go in the targeting tab under My Data, make sure you select to search for data pixels, not event pixels, and you will find the audiences there. Lastly, one more question is, what are the typical CPAs I should expect to see for these types of campaigns? That's a hard question. Honestly, it really depends on the vertical, the type of product that you're selling. There's a lot of variability around that, but I will say that it's really important to work to either educate internally or educate your client. New customer acquisition CPAs will be higher than retention and remarketing, and so it's important to set that goal and to get a different budget. CPAs for prospecting, I would say, should be somewhere between 20% to even 50% higher, depending on, again, the product and the length of time needed to purchase on the buying cycle. But it won't ever be as cheap as remarketing. Those people that recently came to the site, they're familiar with your brand, they're clearly in market, those are the best people. It's like saying, hey, who's going to convert more, somebody that's in my store or somebody that I go find that's wearing exactly the right clothes or has the exact style that my store sells? and then pull them in and get them to buy. It's still important, it still works, but it's really important to make sure you set the expectations that the CPAs on prospecting should be higher. Can still do it cost effectively by using data though. Okay, are there any, I don't see any other questions coming in. If you do have a question, there's a question box on the WebEx interface, and feel free to submit that. But I believe I've answered everything that's in the queue right now. Okay, so if that's it, I hope that you guys all got a couple of takeaways, and please get in there, poke around, start testing, and request some lookalike audiences. We're excited to work with all of you and help you guys get much better results this holiday season. Thank you.